Hello everyone, and welcome to what I believe will be one of, if not my last video before going on break. So in the video where I announced that I would be going on break, I asked you all to give me some of your questions. You know, when I was celebrating my 10-year anniversary back in March, there were a couple of comments kind of saying that they would love to see a Q&A video specifically more to do with, you know, my time on this channel. And, you know, I thought that was kind of a great idea of something to do right before going on break. So a little extra video for you all today. Before I get into the questions, just a couple of things that I want to say. I selected a handful of questions to answer. I can't get to all of them. I'm so sorry. I do have limited time, and you know, I still have a few things that I need to film today after this. But the questions that I selected more had to do with what I think I had interesting answers to. So, you know, not a reflection on the questions themselves. They were all great. They were all great questions. I also did not pick any questions that will say are the will you questions. Will you react to this? Will you watch this? In the future, will you do this? Will you do that? There's two reasons that I did not select those questions. The first reason is actually genuinely because I'm taking a little bit of a longer break than normal. I am actually going to take some time during this break, sort of just reassessing everything with kind of my channel and what I want to do in the future and all of that. Nothing too drastic or anything like that, but I just kind of want to take a look at everything. So for a lot of those questions, I just don't really have an answer. And the second reason being, listen, I love you all so much, I really do. But, you know, if I ever say something like, oh, I might watch this, I might like to react to this in the future, some of you, not all of you, will treat that as gospel, and you will get very mad at me if that, you know, doesn't actually come to fruition. And you're not going to get me, okay? You're not going to get me on record saying anything, okay? But yeah, in all honesty, especially with new shows or, you know, stuff like that, it's hard to squeeze them in. And so I'm just going to take a look at all of that stuff because, I mean, as I think a lot of you could tell, especially with the past couple of years on my channel, it's just, you know, the more you react to things over time, over 10 years, the more all of these shows kind of come back all at once. And there's spin-offs and this and that, and you know. So my schedule gets quite saturated very quickly, and me going on record saying, oh, I'm definitely going to do this thing that I'm not sure I could even squeeze in, it's not a smart idea on my part, okay? So I apologize, but yeah, let's get into these questions. First question is from Gly Griff, and I believe that there were a few questions that were kind of similar to this, so hopefully I'm answering a few people's questions right now. I was wondering how much time a week you give to your channel, from getting ready to record to editing and uploading. It's probably a full-time job, but do you do fewer, longer days with a 3-day weekend, or do you work 6 to 7 days a week? And how much percentage is prepping or editing versus being on camera? Okay, oh, this might be a longer answer because it really depends. Like today, I'm filming pretty much all day. That is, and I try not to do that too much. I try not to have like from start to finish fully filming. That's just my own personal preference. I feel like when I film too much, it just gets all really condensed for me. And I also like to, watch a couple episodes of something and then let it, let me digest it, so to speak, and everything, and really kind of take it all in and stuff like that. But there are some days where I just gotta listen. I gotta film all day. However, so it'll depend on the demands of if I'm editing a lot that week, if I'm not, if I, it really depends on what's currently going on. So let me give you a rundown of probably a typical day for me. If, let's say, the new season of Squid Game just dropped and I'm reacting to 2 or 3 episodes of the first few. So wake up at 4 a.m. typically. I deal with Rocco, feed him, let him out, all that fun stuff in the morning, and then immediately after, I'm in that makeup chair. Immediately, there's no time to have coffee and wake up or none of that. I do have my coffee while I do my makeup, okay? Coffee is essential to my day, so, it does happen. As soon as I'm done, the only thing, and I've said this so many times before, the only thing I really check about episodes before I watch them is their runtimes. And that's another reason why I don't typically schedule like a ton of episodes to be filmed in one day unless I know what the runtimes are. Shout out to Supernatural. We love Supernatural because the runtimes are always the same. But with a lot of these new shows, the runtimes can range from like 45 minutes to like an hour and a half, which is kind of close to double that, right? So, it can make for very, very long days recording that. Not to mention, I don't know if you all have noticed this, but I can get a little long-winded in my post-episode thoughts sometimes. So sometimes even when it's like, maybe like an hour-long episode, the recording turns into goodness knows how long, right? And then you have to edit that and all of that, so it can make for long days. But typically, if there's, say, like I said, a new season of something just dropped and I'm watching a couple episodes, I'll watch the first episode, stop recording, send it on over to my editor, and he will normally edit like the first episode, and then I will handle editing the second episode. That's normally how it goes. So he can work on that while I'm recording either the second and third, depending on what's going on that day. So then I record all of that, and the time I get done, again, it can range because of run times and all of that. And then I get to editing typically. And some edits are easier than others. That's just my own personal opinion. I personally love editing like more dialogue heavy episodes when it's like a lot of fight scenes and stuff. I don't know why. I just find it so much more difficult to edit around that. So sometimes edits take a lot longer than others. Then comes the copyright battle of every day, and that is genuinely, sometimes it'll go through in the first go, sometimes it takes forever. So there's a lot of checking and seeing if there's any claims or blocks or any issues like that. And though that part of the day is not let's say, the most like strenuous. It's the most like frustrating because it's just back and forth and re-editing and re-uploading and doing all of that. So, you know, that can really take a while. There's also all of the logistics stuff where I'm uploading fulls to my website that will go, you know, out to my patrons. Yeah, and then I'm, you know, anything that my editor edits, I, you know, will download those through for the week and stuff and watch the edits and make the thumbnails and go through all of that. So there's a lot of that like busy work kind of that takes up a good portion of my day. And by the time I'm done, it's normally dinner time. It is just a straight shot. I normally do not take a break. They're long days. I won't say that they're like super difficult days by any means, but they're long days. And you know what gets me sometimes is whenever I watch something that really like makes me cry. So then for the rest of the editing portion, I'm pointing to my desktop over there. The rest of my editing portion, I got these like stingy eyes, I guess that's the best way to put it. And you're looking at a screen, and the last thing you want to do is look at a screen. It's just, those are the toughest days. It's whenever I really get got with the emotions. But yeah, so that'll be a typical day when stuff kind of currently airs. If there's, for some reason, it's a day where, like today, I'm kind of just filming a bunch of stuff. I'm filming a couple of things after this that are going to go out when I come back from break, so I don't have to worry about those videos. And so it really depends. I normally have a typical, it depends on the season, but I will say like a 5-day week with that. But yes, every so often, if, you know, I have plans that weekend, and most of the people that mean a lot to me don't live anywhere near me, so I gotta hop in a car for quite a few hours or fly on a plane to go see anybody. So if I want to take a long weekend, then that, you know, kind of beginning of the week is very intense. But I'll hustle. I'll really try to do that. Okay. I don't know if that really answered your question, but that's the gist of what I do every day. Thomas asks, in the 10 years of your channel, or just in viewing film and television, do you happen to have a pick for a character that most surprised you for how much you really loved them? If so, who might that character be and why? I don't know that I get surprised in the sense that I truly think if somebody really acts their ass off and really brings the character to light, even if it's not the type of character I normally gravitate towards, I have no problem saying that I appreciate that character or performance of that character or you know, something like that. The only things that really surprise me, and I do have an example, so I guess I'll say like somewhat spoiler for The Walking Dead if you know, so just skip this if you don't want to know, is whenever there's a character that I initially can't stand, but by the end of their journey in the franchise, in the show, or anything like that, I adore them. And for me, I don't think I can name a better example than Dwight on The Walking Dead. You know, he had a rough start, okay? Let's just say, with the fandom, with everybody. I mean, he had a rough start. But truly, by the end of his character arc, that ended up on Fear. I mean, he was just somebody that I was just so I know it's a fictional character, but proud of, you know? And I think the stuff that surprises me the most is when the writing can make you do a full turnaround on a character that you really at first were like, ooh, I hate this person. Ooh, I can't stand them. You know, that's the surprising thing. And let me know if you guys have any, you know, I guess that's hard to ask because that might be spoilery territory. But if there's a character in something that I've watched, you know, maybe leave that down below if you had a specific kind of turnaround with a character that you initially were like, can't stand them, and then by the end you were like, no, I love them. Okay, Phoebe Gardner asks, just curious, do you do any Comic-Con conventions? Also, have you ever considered making a merchandise shop? Okay, so for merch, I just have not really executed it, and I don't know, I'm not putting it to the forefront of things I feel like I need to accomplish because I'm just not sure anybody would buy anything. So that might be a lot of effort for nothing, you know what I mean? I do have design ideas though. I really do. So maybe one day. I don't know. And have I ever been to Comic-Con conventions? Isn't that a double Comic-Con convention? Anyway, no. I have never, ever been to any. I think I had plans to go to, you know, a couple throughout various points in my life, and it just didn't really pan out. The thing is, for me, as a very intense planner, I do know that, you know, conventions in general, there's just so much to know about kind of going into it and what's, you know, what should you prioritize, and it's just such a world I'm so not even privy to that I think I would want to come up with a good solid plan before I went to one. There's a couple that I would love to go to, and I would love to kind of have that experience and everything. I know there's a Doctor Who one in LA, kind of towards the beginning of the year, that I think would be really fun to go to and stuff like that. But you know, it's just a world that I am so not even remotely familiar with, other than just the little things that I know. So if I do go to one, I would want to have like a good plan, you know, and I just really haven't had the time to really execute that. Sunniest Autumn asks, as a trans viewer, I'm always delighted by your allyship and positive reactions to transgender queer characters in media. I was wondering, do you have any favorite trans characters in the different series you've watched? Also, I'm gonna assume, do you have a Laura Palmer avatar? Love that. Anyway, yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't react to this, but I love Angel in Pose. I love Nomi a lot, and Hyunju. And thank you. This comment means a lot. Zonda F. Roadster asks, if you had to pick one aspect of a show that had the capacity to emotionally stir you the most, what would it be? Visuals, soundtrack, dialogue, topic, etc. That, you know, the cheater's answer, which I'll give you an actual answer, but the cheater's answer is, I mean, it truly is when they all come together, right? when it's all really executed well and the music is hitting and the performance is great and all of that. I think a lot of it is acting. Sometimes I am absolutely floored by certain actors' ability to just convey these complicated emotions so genuinely. And so that's what I would say would be number one for me, is whenever the performance really hits. I mean, sometimes it'll be something that I didn't even think I would be that sad about, but the acting is just so good that you're like, okay, all right, I guess I'm crying now, you know, kind of that sort of vibe. The topic will be another one. You know, I think we all know that there's a couple of things that kind of triggers me a little bit. And if you followed me for a while, you know what those are. So sometimes when certain topics get handled, or, you know, that'll get me a little bit more than usual. But I'm gonna say acting. But I think it's all of it. You know, I think it's all of it. Truly. Marcus Byron Hayes asks, what inspired you to start making reaction videos on YouTube? Revolving doors. Revolving doors. That is the genuine answer, and some of you already know that story. Listen, there was a scene in a certain show that had revolving doors, and I lost my damn mind, and the next episode of that show is my first reaction video ever. I really don't know what made me sort of pull the trigger on uploading videos. I will say the reactor space was such a different space back then. It really was. There wasn't a lot of reaction channel, not in comparison to now. And I mean this genuinely, and that's no shade to anybody, but like if you all listed like your 5 favorite reaction channels, I possibly wouldn't know any of it. You know, like there are so many now. And it's such a, you know, I feel like back then it was more like, I just want to share my love for this, and I was kind of, I don't know. At the time, you know, I was really trying to find something to do, because I moved away from my work and my job. I used to be a wedding planner. I know a lot of you know that, but maybe some of you don't. Yeah. But truly the answer is revolving doors. That scene, lost my damn mind. And for some reason, I thought in my head, I'm going to record this. And that's that. Revolving doors. Jimmy Bisk asks, how do you decide what to react to? In other words, do you react to something because it happens to be something you like the theme of, or is it more of a strategic choice, such as it fits your planned schedule, it works well with the YouTube algorithm in terms of views, it's easy to edit, etc. Okay, well, that's an interesting question. You know, like I kind of said at the beginning of this video, there are certain, it's tough to fit in new stuff into my schedule. I have a short list. And I stare at that list sometimes and I say, I want to get to you. I want to react to you. It's tough to fit stuff into my schedule. And I know that that's not the strategy that some other, I'm not going to speak for everyone, reaction channels take. If something is hot at the moment, you know, they pounce on it. And, you know, I've always prioritized personally on my channel loyalty to fandoms Meaning, if there's a new, Doctor Who spinoff, that I'm gonna do that. If there's a new Star Wars show or whatever, because these are the fandoms who have been loyal to me all this time. And I know that that's sometimes not a strategy that everybody would say is very fruitful. I might not be getting all the views because of that strategy, but I do think I get a lot of support because of that strategy. And yeah, I have had conversations with other reactors, and they think my strategy is not the way to go. However, I've got such a big support system. And I guess the way that I look at it is, if I just tried to do the next, hot new thing, I think those people would kind of come and go a little bit. Not that I don't want to do some of the, trust me, I have a list. Trust me. But I also know my limits. Okay? The first bit of this year has been insane with the amount of stuff that I had to cover. But, I do think that a strength of my channel is that I do show loyalty to certain fandoms. And you guys, every week there's a Supernatural reaction. Every week there's a Classic Who reaction. For a hot minute, every week there was a Star Wars reaction. You know what I mean? Like, I prioritize that. And though, some of those reactions won't get the craziest numbers or whatever, views will come into it for new shows. For sure. I don't want to say I don't look at views at all. If I posted a new reaction to some show and y'all were not vibing at all and it didn't get any views, I would probably stop that series. Even if I really wanted to watch it. I can watch it on my own and not have to edit the damn thing. You know what I mean? I remember when I posted my first reaction, I think it was to The Sandman, and I was like very late on that, but like season 1, episode 1, and I made kind of a speech about the same thing. It's like, I'm gonna post the first few reactions, see if you like it, and people did. People liked it, so, but if y'all aren't vibing, I'll move it along. And I remember there were a couple comments being like, oh, so you're saying you only care about the views and stuff? And I'm like, if you guys don't want to watch it, I'm not gonna do it. And I have a little bit of exceptions with that, with the fandoms that have been around for a while. Sometimes there's a Marvel show that pops up that doesn't do very well. And sometimes, let's be real, last year, the Agatha videos, I think, were some of my most popular videos. So, I stay loyal. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, sometimes if it's something I'm really interested, that's the sweet spot, something that I'm actually really interested in, and everybody's kind of asking me to react to it. I'm like, and there's 2 of those shows that I'm really trying to get to ASAP. But that's sort of what happened with Fallout. I already wanted to watch it, and then people were demanding that I watch it. So bada bing, bada boom, we're good, So it's normally something like that. But if there's something that I personally really, really want to watch and you all don't really care about it, I'll go watch it on my own. It's rare that I do that, though. It's hard for me to watch a show outside of reacting that I think might make good reactions. I'm always like, I don't know. No, I shouldn't. Maybe I'll react to it someday, you know, that kind of thing. And somewhat on that note, Chazzy D1235 asks, have you watched anything off camera throughout your reaction career, or even before, where in retrospect you wish you'd done a reaction for it? Yes, most are things that I watched before I even had a channel. Battlestar Galactica is probably the one that always comes to mind first, because one of my favorite shows. And what an experience going through it for the first time. Stargate, love Stargate. Particularly, I've said this before, but Atlantis, that's my fave. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I don't care. And then there's some, I'm not gonna lie, there's some that I watched that I know would make for good reactions, but I'm glad I didn't. Number one, being Lost. Loved Lost. Went through Lost. Obsessed with Lost. So you might ask, why? You know, why would you not? Listen, there were a lot of characters on Lost, and I vibed with like 3 of them. There was more than that. I had my 3 favorites that I loved, but there were some fan favorites that I did not vibe with. And I don't need that evidence on camera for the people to get me. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're like, I don't know that would have been worth it. And I'll let you use your imagination on who those characters were. But the one I will say, I typically, as I said, I don't watch a ton unless I know that it's like a production company that's a pain with copyright or something. But there was one show that I watched, and when I say I was losing my damn mind on my couch, on my own, and I apologize for this, but Beef. Beef was so good, and I watched it when I was recovering. If you guys remember, a little ways back, I had surgery, and it came out, and you all know how I feel about Steven Yeun, so I was like, I'm gonna watch this while I recover. And it was like a little treat to myself, because I really do, it's hard for me to put on a show when I think maybe you all would like to see those reactions. But it was a little treat to myself, and it surely was a treat. I'm not going to say anything, but just go watch it. Go watch it. Dominic Carr 4062 asks, what would you say have been the biggest milestones in the evolution of your channel over its first 10 years? Oof. Okay. I think I'm going to have an answer that maybe not necessarily the answer that you're looking for. Obviously, I guess there are some things that I'm really proud of within my channel. I don't know about if you would qualify this as a milestone, but I am very proud of how my videos have evolved. You know, the videos that I once made, and again, it was kind of before reaction videos were like really that popular. They were sort of getting there, but so there wasn't like a template, you know, already, and I just sort of put on the camera and it was what it was, and I didn't have the editing software or ability to, like, you know, even put in the picture-in-picture right away, and you know, I have to say, I guess I'll give a little bit of a milestone in regards to that. I'm very proud of how my videos have evolved. I'm very proud of not just how I've learned to sort of edit them, present them, or whatever, but also how I've found what I really like about these shows and expressing that. And I think one of the shows, not the only one, but one of the shows that really showed that to me was The Haunting of Hill House. Mike Flanagan is my favorite writer, period. And the way that he writes and the very character-driven stories is really suited to my style of reaction videos, not just because they're emotional, but in the sense that that's what I really like to get into. I like to really discuss where characters are emotionally or mentally or what they're going through. And that was one of those shows that it really brought that out of me. And the fandom was so receptive to it as well. So once I sort of was able to understand where, in my opinion, I don't mean to sound like I get cocky or whatever, but like where I excelled as a reactor and I was able to lean into that a bit more. That was a great, I don't know if you call that a milestone, but the Doctor Who Decembers, listen, putting that much effort into anything and having it actually be well received, that felt very good. I was tired by the end of it, but that felt really, really good. But I'm going to be honest, the biggest milestones, in all seriousness, have to do with me personally, rather than kind of any sort of video I put out. One being self-image. Let me tell you, getting that much feedback right away when you start a channel is jarring. I don't think people in general are supposed to get this much feedback, you know, in so many aspects. And I never had any big issues. I'm sure I had, you know, everybody has insecurities and stuff like that, but I don't think I had any big issues with self-confidence or anything like that until I put myself on the internet. And the internet will point out insecurities you didn't even think you had, or you didn't even think you should have. They'll let you know what you should be insecure about, whether it's your looks, whether it's your personality, whether it's your voice, your laugh. I've gotten all of these, you know, and truly one of the biggest milestones I think in my channel is feeling so okay with who I am, with how I look. I used to get so much, and I don't know if like the internet eventually changed or those people just left my fucking channel. I'm not sure, but I used to get so much shit for dressing up, putting makeup on and doing my hair, and you know, especially for like special reactions, I try to wear like a nice dress or something. Literally this inside joke for Sandman on my dress right now. But you know, and I like to put effort into that. You know, a lot of my outfits match the logo of the show that I'm watching. You know, I would get a lot of shit for that. And eventually I was just like, who cares? Who cares? I like it. I like, you know, how I do my makeup and my hair and all of that. So that should be what matters, you know? So there's that, and just my personality, you know, you get a lot of, I get a lot of, or when we talk about negative comments, there's a lot of like, she's so annoying. She's so annoying. And I'm too excited, and I'm too positive. I get that a lot. Why do you like everything? I don't know. I try to like whatever I watch, all right? It doesn't mean I do. I've definitely watched some things that I don't like. But, and all of that is to say, a milestone really is not being affected by that. It's not that I don't ever take feedback, but it's just those type of comments I truly don't really even affect me at all. But that was a very, very difficult journey to go on, especially kind of towards the beginning of my channel, where it was just so jarring to get that all at once. Everybody's got an opinion and they'll let you know what's wrong with you. They'll let you know real quick. And then last year, the biggest milestone truly was, you don't ever get rid of it, but learning to deal with my OCD. I had a very, very intense battle with OCD last year. I talked about it a little bit, and I haven't opened up fully about it. Some of it had to do with filming. Some of it had to do with other aspects of my life. And I will just say, I don't think I can express to you how difficult it was to go through all of that with a camera on you. You feel so exposed and vulnerable when you're going through something so very difficult. And I went through it. I went through my exposure therapy. I worked with a therapist, and I did this all quietly. You know, I didn't open up about it until I was feeling a little bit better about it. And throughout this year, I've had a couple of days where, you know, kind of crept up, anxiety crept up, all that. But when I tell you last year and kind of leading into last year, it was every day. Crying, breakdown, anxiety, close to every day. And some of that, yes, it did have to do with filming. And maybe I'll open up about that a little bit more at some point. But that's a milestone. This year has been a lot easier for me in that regard. Beagle Baby Beastie asks, do you see yourself doing occasional non-reaction videos anymore like you used to? Like trying to make fish fingers and custard, the Missy cosplay, gift mail, and of course the spa. Oh man, yes, I have a couple of ideas that I think I would love to do, and it's just truly finding the time to kind of execute it and get it all together. The thing about reaction videos and my whole setup here is that it's kind of fully functional, you know. I can do it. I can, you know, record a lot of it, and it does take quite a bit of work to kind of, you know, set up all the other different types of videos and stuff like that. And when you already have a super packed schedule, it's kind of hard to dedicate time to something else. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of videos that I would love to try to do. And listen, I'll just say I don't think we're ending on just one episode of Seska's Spa, and I'll leave it there. Andy Yu asks, as you no longer appear to have a general P.O. box, so stopping the receipt of more, and you have moved into a new house, I'm wondering if you have at last managed to create a memorabilia room, maybe along the lines of the White House's China room. Stay safe. All the best to you. Yes, I did not open a new P.O. box when I moved here. That's not to say I won't ever in the future. It's just, yes, there was a lot of stuff, and, you know, just finding space for all of that, you know, as much as I love it and I appreciate, especially, I have every single letter that anyone's sent me, and all of that. I appreciate all of it so much, but space does become an issue a little bit. And also, at the time of me moving, there were some things going on kind of behind the scenes with certain situations with individuals trying to locate me and all of that stuff, and I just didn't feel like a P.O. box was a great idea at the time. But yes, it's funny, you guys only see just a little bit of this room, but right over here, actually right down there, is Rocco's bed, and then right over here there's a closet, but it is a kind of very beautiful walk-in closet. Wonderful selling point for this place, and it has a lot of my channel stuff in there. It has all of my outfits kind of on deck for things I'm going to record in the next like week or so or whatever. And it also has this like beautiful sort of like shelving thing over here, and I arranged so many of the things that you all have gotten to me, and it looks really beautiful. And yeah, I see all that stuff. I'm in and out of there, quite a few times a day. So yeah, and I did find a way to actually display the things that I've received in the past. Daniel R. Drew asks, if you were having tea, lunch, or dinner, etc., with 10 years ago Jess and 5 years ago Jess, what would you tell them about this journey that they're in for? I really probably should have come up with an answer for this before reading that question. I think one of the things, I don't know if I can differentiate the 10-year-old or the Jess or the 5-year-old from now. But something that I think I would say is you're going to learn a lot about yourself. You're going to learn a lot about your own strength. And yes, I somewhat mean that in kind of those milestones I was talking about earlier with, self-image, with battling anxiety, all of that, right? But I also mean like you're going to learn a lot about your strengths as an individual, and I think I know myself really well in comparison to back then, and some of that just comes with age, growing, learning things, experiences, all of that. And I guess something that I would really say is the people who are meant to find you, and I guess not find you, but the people who, the right people will appreciate you. Throughout my entire time on this channel, there's been such a kind of growth in not just, I feel like, myself and my videos, which I think there has been. And I don't find that to be a bad thing at all. Now, I'm going to go on a little tangent here, but sometimes people find my older videos, specifically Doctor Who videos, and they're like, aren't you embarrassed to have this up? It's not the same as your videos now, and your videos now are so good, and these are trash. I get a lot of that. And no, I'm not really embarrassed. This is my journey. And that sounded so corny. This is my journey. I didn't mean for it to sound like that, but like, this is, if you're looking back, at what you've done before and you can't tell that there's massive improvement, you know what I mean? Wouldn't that like more upset you than anything? I feel like I've grown a lot. I feel like the videos I make have evolved and all of that. But though I do think that there's a lot of really great evolution on my end here, I think also the type of people that watch my videos and the people who have found me and the people who appreciate me, they're the people who are meant to. You know, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Okay. But the people who do appreciate me, I feel like they really do appreciate me. And I think that would be something that I would talk about. And those people are going to love you for you or support you for you. You know, your type of humor, you know, maybe the vulnerability and all of that. I think I would try to do a little bit of like a comforting, you know, you'll find your people. Okay, we are going to end this video with my favorite question that was asked. Dave Holland 4152 asks, do you ever sit on the other side of your couch? And the answer to that is no. No, I do not. That would be wrong. I will not do that. No, no, no. What I actually do is I do probably every like month or so, I do switch out like the cushions. So everything remains kind of comfy over here on this side of the couch. Yeah, really, I use this couch only for filming. So the answer is no, I do not sit on the other side of the couch. Not ever. And that's just the truth. Okay. I do apologize if I did not get to your question. There were quite a few that I didn't get to select that I thought were great questions, but I, you know, again, kind of went with what I thought were more interesting answers from me. And also just time-wise, you know, I kind of just tried to narrow it down a little bit. But yeah, whew, I need my break. I need my break now. You know, I've explained this a few times before, but you know, sometimes I just need a little bit of time off camera. You know, as much as I love making these videos and you know, sharing all of these reactions with all of you, I know when I'm due for a break. And I think I started to get that feeling kind of at the beginning of June. So I'm a little overdue. I won't lie, I'm a little overdue. I do hope that this video kind of gave you maybe some insights into, you know, me or how things go for my channel and my experiences in the past. I did try to pick questions that were a little more channel oriented and stuff and not completely, you know, specific to any one show or anything like that, seeing as that was kind of the vibe I was going for this Q&A. But I really appreciate all the support, especially when I announced my break and I announced that it's going to be just like a little bit longer than normal. Everybody was so supportive and lovely, and that it means the world to me. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in a bit. Bye.